Acting PS for Ministry of Waterways and Environment and PS for Agriculture, Mr. Das. The Senior Montreal Protocol Regional Coordinator for ASEAN Pacific, Mr. Sofang Hu. The Director of Environment, Ms. Sandeep Singh. Our senior staff from Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Waterways. Ladies and gentlemen, Bulavinaka to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to commemorate the International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layer. Ladies and gentlemen, life on Earth cannot survive without adequate amount of sunshine. However, the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays needs to be shielded from humans, and that is the primary function of the ozone layer. Most of the sun's damaging UV light is shielded from Earth by this stratospheric layer. A layer of the ozone in the stratosphere helps protect Earth from harmful solar radiation, yet without this, life as we know it would not be possible. However, the commercial and industrial activities over time has emitted gases which is thinning and depleting this ozone layer. This issue came to the forefront in the late 1970s and was elevated to critical levels. Cases of skin cancer and cataracts were on the rise. It was noted that over the previous few decades, there has been a rise in production, supply, and use of ozone-depleting gases used in aerosols and cooling equipment such as refrigerators and air conditioners. The impact of UV rays were also seen to be on the agriculture sector, crops and livestock in particular. Noting the gravity of the matter, the Vienna Convention for the Protection of Ozone Layer was established in 1985, and the Protocol on Ozone-Depleting Substance was signed in 1987 in Montreal, now famously known as the Montreal Protocol. The primary objective of the protocol is the international consensus and action regarding the drastic decrease of production and use of these substances, which results in increased UV radiation and consequently has a negative impact on human health and ecosystem. To abide by the Montreal Protocol, governments, scientists, and industry partners collaborated to reduce ozone-depleting substances and chemicals by nearly 99% over a period of time. The ozone layer is recovering thanks to the Montreal Protocol, and it is projected to increase to its pre-1980 levels by middle of the century, which in turn preserves human health, economies, and ecosystems. In a 2019 article in the Journal of Serbian Archives of Medicine titled Environment and Healthy 30 Years of Successful Implementation of the Montreal Protocol by Dodd et al., the authors note that, and I quote, "The Montreal Protocol is referred to as one of the most successful international agreements, not only in the field of environmental protection, but also in the field of human health protection. Besides the reduced negative impact of the ultraviolet radiation to the ecosystem and people, we are also facing a reduced occurring trend of skin cancer, cataracts, immune system diseases worldwide. Without the Montreal Protocol and its implementation, millions of people would have died because of ultraviolet radiation and the previously mentioned diseases. The treatment costs and the pressure to the health system in all the countries worldwide would have enormously increased because of that," unquote. As this year's World Ozone Day seeks to highlight, the Montreal Protocol protects not just the ozone layer, but also so many other delicate ecological systems. These include reducing the impact of climate change, such as cutting back on the amount of fossil fuel that is used in the cooling sector, which helps guarantee food security. The United Nations Environment Programme report titled About the Montreal Protocol, published at the UNEP homepage, notes that approximately 135 billion tons of CO2 equivalent emissions were reduced by the Montreal Protocol due to the ban on ozone-depleting chemicals between 1990 and 2010. The report further notes that the Kigali Amendment, which came into force in 2019, is seeking to take this climate contribution to the next level. It works towards reducing hydrofluorocarbons, greenhouse gases, with powerful climate warming potential and damaging to the environment. Therefore, this year's theme of Montreal Protocol, keeping us, our food, and vaccines cool is considered timely to reflect on the global COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the sensation of coming inside after being outside on a hot day and the initial feeling of a cool air conditioning on your neck or grabbing an ice cold drink from the fridge is a fantastic feeling. At work, workers argue it raises productivity. Additionally, the sweet relief technology also has additional benefits for those of us who are fortunate enough to have it. Cooling makes it feasible to establish robust food chains as well as to combat waste. Amid the current COVID-19 pandemic, it helps preserve vaccinations, drugs, and organs, making them suitable for transportation and transplanting for lengthy periods. There is the distinct possibility that with the rising heat waves worldwide, cooling can even mean a matter of survival. But HFCs aren't the only problem. Cooling needs power. If this electricity originates from fossil fuels, it contributes to changing climate, which in turn raises global temperatures and increased need for cooling. This negative feedback loop may be dampened by utilizing more energy-efficient equipment. So while on one hand, we are adopting technologies to substitute the use of ozone-depleting gases, we must seize this opportunity to also develop energy-efficient technologies. In Fiji, the Ministry of Environment has continuously worked towards achieving Fiji's obligation to the Montreal Protocol. The effort to phase out ozone-depleting substances through our collaboration with the RAC stakeholders, fumigation stakeholders, enforcement agency stakeholders, technical institutions, government and non-government organizations have all contributed to Fiji complying with the Montreal Protocol. The Ministry of Environment, as a focal point for the Montreal Protocol, has been able to meet targets set by the protocol in phasing out of the ozone-depleting substances. Hydrofluorocarbons is currently regulated under the ODS Act 1998, and control measures are in place to ensure that HCFC is phased out by 2030. The Department of Environment notes that last year, Fiji reduced its HCFC consumption by 35%, and further targets to reduce by 67.5% by end of this year. The Ministry is also very excited to note that the Fiji Low Emission Development Strategy 2018-2050, published by the Ministry of Economy in 2018, which targets to reach a net zero carbon emissions by 2050 across all sectors of the economy through pathways defined in these LEDs. In line with the above, and our commitment to the various protocols stated above, there has been a gradual transition of technologies in the RAC sector to non-Audi systems. This has been possible through close collaboration between the Ministry of Environment, our enforcement partners, and the RAC stakeholders. Mid last year, Fiji ratified the Kigali Amendment on the phase down of hydrofluorocarbons. The ODS Amendment Act 2020, which was passed in Parliament in December last year, regulates the use of HFCs through the Department of Environment's licensing and permitting systems. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of today's World Ozone Day commemoration, the Ministry is conducting training for the RIC sector to phase out HFCs and launching the Asia Pacific Ozone to Climate Art Contest for Fiji. The Asia Pacific Regional Ozone to Climate Art Contest is being launched with the support of UNEP in consultation with UNESCO Bangkok office to raise public awareness on the Montreal Protocol and Kigali Amendment. The art contest is initiated to promote linkages of ozone layer and climate change protection as well as achievements. It is also to mobilize public support on the complete phase out of ozone depleting substances and the phase down of greenhouse gases such as HFCs. The contest is in two phases. The first phase will be the Asia Pacific Ozone to Climate Art Contest at the national level. The national winners will then enter the regional contest, which will be the second phase of the contest. The artwork contest is split into three categories: the photography contest, the drawing contest, and the graphic design contest. The artwork contest is open to the public and I encourage our children and youths to participate. The contest is an opportunity for all art lovers to utilize the artistic and creative talents and enhance the knowledge of ozone and climate. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to capture the future by getting our children, who are the future, to participate in a very important aspect of protecting our environment, our people, our ecosystem. That is, their understanding and their appreciation and their participation of how important ozone layer is in terms of screening out the UV rays on us and also on the ecosystem. I now have the pleasure to officially launch the Asia Pacific Regional Art Contest for Fiji. To spread the message about combating climate change in a good way, I encourage you all to join hands, be our ambassadors in fighting climate change with an attitude of safeguarding the ozone layer for us and the future generations. Thank you, Naka.